Fellow heroes and Force users of all ages, hello there, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by my fellow friends and fellow nerf herders, Alyssa Simmons.
That's me.
And Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
Today, we are discussing the Beat Beach, otherwise known as the Bad Batch. We recently, it was kind of a long time ago, we talked about the Bad Batch, but we are wrapping this show up in one big giant bow, the last few episodes, and oh my, lots to talk about, very exciting. The show was created by Dave Filoni and...
Jennifer Corbett.
That's it, Jennifer Corbett, we love her, we'll never forget her name. Oh,
well, I thought you were waiting on us.
I thought you were...
So you could then go Jennifer Corbett.
I love saying that, like, Jennifer Corbett.
But you actually forgot.
You did.
But I actually forgot. I just had a stroke. It's fine.
It's okay.
It's fine. But you know what? By God, we're Star Wars fans.
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
The Beach.
The Bead Beach. You know what? I liked this season.
Me too. It's interesting. Like I feel
liked it.
I
like
feel,
so much more than season one.
Yeah, I feel like less happened, but but it was like more focused. Maybe. Is that what I'm thinking?
Well,
Sure.
yeah, no, I think I understand what you mean. I would say while there was less forward progression in terms of like tackling a ton of different arcs.
Yeah.
I think this arc that culminated the season was kind of what we were wanting to get out of Bad Batch to begin with.
I think so, and maybe they understood that from the feedback from season one, because I think that they kind of they threw, it feels like they threw the spaghetti at the wall the first season. Spaghetti Western at
or
the wall.
perhaps they were like, people didn't mind this sort of slow moving feel of Mandalorian, so maybe we can do that animated wise and take the time to really build these characters.
Love that.
Yeah, they love just character relationships.
Character-driven, slow. Yeah, all of that sounds exactly
Methodical.
like what my nephews really enjoy.
That's all.
They like to just get into the thick of it, really
Yeah.
into the weeds of the human experience,
Yeah,
the clone experience.
yeah, my kids are always asking about subtext. They're really my nephews. Yeah.
But yeah, in particular, the last three or four episodes,
Yes.
I was like, yeah, this is a good show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Imagine hearing that from you.
I know. I'm not nice about the Bad Batch last year.
Yeah, we were really, we were less than nice.
Just
I-
kind of like,
Even though there was a lot of great stuff last season, we should remember.
Well, there were some great episodes.
Yes.
There was some.
yes. But as a whole season, we were just kind of like, that was
Well,
a
there was-
lot of
there was two-
episodes for
Yeah.
I mean,
not
remember
much
the opener
going
with
on.
with Keenan, or no, Keenan, not Keenan.
Kanan.
Kanan, thank you. Keenan Peele. They were in the
Those
show.
Key and Peele.
days. I did it. And
You did it! Oh, I'm so proud of you.
All right, we can move forward now.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
can move forward.
We did it. Check the box.
Skip it.
Where did Fabian? Oh no, I've lost my thought. I can't stop thinking about Joseph.
No, the beginning of season one with
Oh,
With
yeah,
Kanan.
young
yeah,
Kanan.
that
and-
that episode was phenomenal. I remember being like,
Yeah.
Well, remember when we were sitting there? I mean, especially during the early episodes of season one, and we went episode by episode
Yeah.
with season one,
We
and
did.
Pretty much.
we did. How could we forget?
And we decided
did.
that was not necessary
all
this
16.
season.
No, but what in the early ones, I remember how much we were theorizing about this big clone uprising, and
Were we
and-
still just a Star Wars podcast back then?
No,
think
we were still calling our non-Star Wars
Outside
episodes
the Tauntaun.
Outside the
yes,
Tauntaun.
that's right, yes.
and then we ended up doing more outside the Tauntaun than inside the Tauntaun.
It's a
And
lot
then we were
of
like, oh
outside.
crap.
But I remember we had kind of these grand theories and hopes about like what they would be depicting, and they were kind of slowly inching towards it. But I think that's where the disappointment in season 1 came from. Is like we got some interesting character relationships, and then the whole business with Camino at the end of season 1 was great. And I feel like season 2 followed a similar trajectory of an interesting episode 1 because it takes you to Dooku's castle, you
Which
know,
is
like
very fun.
cool deep cuts like that. And then, and I'm speaking for myself, and then a malaise kind of sits in of like, okay, here's a mission, go do this
We're
mission.
still going to be doing
Yes.
crap for Sid, still crap for Sid,
But then they
still
left
crap for
Sid.
Sid.
And then then things started getting interesting where they started to finally bring in the world building that I found interesting in Andor and bits of Mandalorian, where you have a better idea of what's going on galaxy wide and how it affects the Bad Batch and clones in general. And that's what I was hoping Bad Batch was going to be from the very beginning, which was a commentary on the clones' place in the galaxy after the end of the Clone Wars, and then it's serving as a pretty interesting metaphor for veterans and for you know, what a government is willing to do to cover up atrocity, and that's where Bad Batch really works, and that's where I think Omega as a central character, where I didn't always connect with her in season 1, or maybe understand the point necessarily, and now I kind of get it.
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, it's still a mystery too, though, which is very cool. Like we've got this like sister situation, which is like, huh?
How, when?
What does it all mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like fully working with the Empire, like
right. Like seems like super okay with torture and stuff. Yeah. Good and bad sides.
What so I wasn't here when you two covered, what was it, 1 through 5?
Was that the last time we talked
I mean,
about
that's that's a very loose term, covered.
When you discussed 1 through 5, but
also with Shelley and her discussion of what Star Wars
so
is.
it was just sort of like, what do you think Star Wars is? So
well, honestly,
we just sort of talked general like feel and theme of the first 5. That was essentially
fairly
it.
general.
But those, you can include those 5 if you wish, but episode or season long, what were some episodes that stood out to you, or is there one that really grabbed you?
Well, I mean, honestly, these last few episodes were some of my favorites for sure. Like just like cinematically, I think it felt very.
I thought
like the last 3 episodes felt like a nice like chunk, and it was and honestly, I felt like all my little emotional bells and whistles like percolating when. But here's the thing: no body, no death. We've talked about this a million times on this podcast.
I would really be shocked if they just fully killed Tech.
Yeah,
I would be shocked by that.
And I would be shocked, but also disappointed is not the right word. But I'm going to use it. I'd be disappointed if they bring him back.
I understand. Because you
I
love the
understand
Empire and you hate like
right,
things, right?
And I want to squash dissent at every turn.
The thing is, my like spidey sense of it all started going off when they were kind of laying the groundwork with what's her head, with Wanda Sykes' character.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Being sweet to him, calling him brown eyes and stuff. I was like, oh, something catastrophic is about to happen to Tech.
1000%. Because it's like
hell?
if they had a baby or something like that, that would have been the episode where they named the baby.
Right?
Because you know once you name the baby, everyone's dead.
Sure.
Except for the baby,
her
maybe.
what's her character name? We really should
Wanda.
know. No, it's not.
I'm completely blanking.
All right, the one where they go to Fee.
Fee.
Thank you.
Fee Genoa.
God Almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Fee on Pabu.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like, oh, something bad is about to happen to Tech because they're like really trying to break him open and explore a different kind of relationship with someone else, and so trouble's ahead.
Bad news. Just
yeah.
A couple other episodes that struck me. And I remember the episode that like started out kind of like it was like a horror film, like it was like Aliens. Do you remember that? It felt like we were doing like an episode, like an Aliens TV show all of a sudden. Like it was like done like a horror movie. Like the lights were all flashing and like all the they were like this monster was like trying to like hunt out
when they were and they couldn't figure out where that was. That the same episode?
It was like an electric, like the monster kept on getting bigger every time. It was very like Godzilla like. It was like
yes,
it
very
would get
kaiju.
Charged up by
yeah.
But yeah, I thought that I just like
the one where they got their ship stolen.
Yes,
the Marauder.
I believe so. Yeah, that sounds right. And
so that would have been.
I think I just liked the theme, and it was just like like that they weren't afraid to kind of go a little bit more scary. I really enjoyed the Outpost too. I'm looking at all the episodes right now. Which was the one where it was a what's his name?
Crosshair.
Crosshair.
Yep.
Sharpshooter Crosshair. It was a Crosshair centric episode where he like finally turns back to the good and like kills the officer and like that. I actually remember being like, yeah, get him.
Well, because that officer was horrible.
Oh, just the worst.
That was another hallmark. That was another hallmark of this season. Was they threw some really sick Imperials into the equation, and I know I've hammered this before, kind of the Nazi comparison. I don't think it's ever been closer than this season of Bad Batch in particular.
Yeah. I mean, like,
for instance,
scientific experiments.
Well, the scientific experiments, and then where they were having their summit, it was called.
Right. Was it like is that an actual Nazi reference?
Well, Eagle's Nest is Hitler's. Hitler's mountaintop outpost in Bavaria.
Totally. Ew, I got chills thinking about that. That sounds creepy.
And
I love that, by the way. That his Tarkin's like hideaway, like that's pretty freaking cool.
But it's what was it called? It was called
I can look it up.
Falcon's Falcon.
I think you're right.
Falcon's Route.
Let's see here.
Anyway, well, I remember when that was referenced. Oh my god! But
Iriadu.
Well, that's the planet.
That's
Iriadu.
the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what the compound was called.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, but Dr. Hemlock, like it's
Dr. Hemlock.
He is so scary. Like there's something really very, very unsettling about him.
Oh God, yeah. I mean his I mean his voice acting is obviously really helping, like his little soft talking.
His like Alec Baldwin like whisper that he does for everything.
Yeah,
very
it's great.
Dr. Mengele.
Mm-hmm. Super unnerving.
Really scary. He's voiced by Jimmy Simpson.
Journey to I'm looking.
I think
for that.
it's a bird. It's some kind of bird's nest.
Raven's
anyway.
Peak.
Raven's Peak. Thank you.
There it is.
That is a very not subtle
Yeah,
very
they
not
just
subtle.
fully
Not
went
subtle Nazi.
fully went there.
Well, and then you're briefly seeing Krennic and a couple
Yes.
other officers from Rogue One, and
Yep.
And freaking good old what's his face? Why am I forgetting his name?
we're having trouble with names today.
I know, really bad. So bad.
Are you an Empire person or a non-Empire person?
Saw
Who are
Gerrera,
you?
there it is.
Saw
Saw
Gerrera.
Gerrera, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought that maybe that's where you were going, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
I think even that conversation they were having at that summit where Tarkin turns to Krennic and asks about Stardust. I find it interesting that the
I wish
they
he
put-
just looked at the camera and winked. Like
and when
ting!
I find it interesting that they've pushed like the cloning experiments are are being discussed in the same meeting as the Death Star in terms of importance, and so again they're not being subtle about where Bad Batch and Mandalorian and
Rogue
all of
One.
that ends
All
up.
these things are connecting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is good. I think that's kind of partly why this season felt more focused, because it felt like season 1 they were like spreading the web further out, and I was like, oh, whoa, oh my god, we're gonna like add like 12 more shows. I'm overwhelmed. And this feels like we're instead kind of coming back, like we're but also paving the way for, which is kind of like crazy that they're doing this, but potentially paving the way for even after the sequels, potentially.
Yeah, could be.
And I just had a nice thought. I never do it, and I'm sad about it, but I kind of wish that like the ending of Shrek. You know
Yes.
how like in the not the subtitles, the freaking the credits, like they do like their like
Did
little
you the mega mix thing?
the mega mix.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wish that every episode of
Bad Batch was like that.
yes, and we just see like Tarkin like dancing to like Dancing Queen or something like that.
Love was only true in fairy tales.
I want to see that.
In the Mamma Mia jumpsuits with the like ridiculous like
1000%. Just
dance
a
belt cup things.
glittery unitard. I want that very badly. Somebody please make it, because I know that Disney won't. Damn it.
No.
But yeah, I do. Sorry, that was my random thought of the day. But I do imagine. Yeah, it kind of made my imagination run wild, because I was this experiment that they're doing. I think that they're leading us to believe like, that they're solving the somehow Palpatine returned problem. And I think that they will do that. Because I believe in Dave Filoni. Amen. But I'm kind of wondering also if like secretly they're also paving the way for something like post that. Even.
Well, I feel like
That's very wide speculation, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like at the moment, probably I would assume that a lot of these like, ideas and writers' room sessions go in the manner of like, how can we make a great show but also kind of, do some fixing.
I mean, and like it or not, like it or not, Star Wars has really taken on the Marvel model.
Yeah.
And it started, you could argue it started all the way back with Clone Wars, but
For sure.
But not really, because Clone Wars was really the only Star Wars we had for a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it predated the sequel trilogy by almost 10 years.
And Marvel. Did it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it started, funny enough, it actually started around the same time.
Around the same time.
Yeah, it's 2008.
So take that, Kevin Feige.
But yeah, no, to your point, Alyssa, I do think they have to keep one eye on how do we make this all make sense. And
Yeah.
And it gets harder and harder as you continue to expand outward, and I think honestly, I think
that's kind of what
get
season 1 felt like. It felt like we were spreading out.
Yeah.
Well, and as far as Star Wars as a whole goes, I think it becomes even more difficult when you include some of the legacy characters.
Yes.
Because I think you're given quite a bit of creative license when you're creating new characters, and they're not bound to previous canon, or my character wouldn't do this or that. And but yeah, so I mean, Bad Batch, as we kind of said at the beginning, is now roped in more with everything else that's happening more than ever, I think. Which I appreciate. Like I love all the political stuff. One of my favorite episodes was when Palpatine pulls that stunt in the Senate and has Rampart arrested to kind of cover up what was really going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is
great.
You see that
great stuff.
This is great stuff, and it lays the groundwork for small little details, like in A New Hope when Tarkin walks in and to the office or into the conference room of the Death Star, and it's like the Emperor has just dissolved the Senate, and it's interesting to see him still in empire building mode, and then by the time we reach A New Hope, it's like, okay, super weapons done. Any charade of democracy is we can take that off the table now.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, he's kind of he's definitely like, you still feel his presence, but he's like not a main player in this series,
right.
Which is good, I think.
Yeah, if you were around a lot, we would be like, okay.
That's enough of you.
Well, I think that's why everybody's concerned about Vader's usage, not in Bad Batch, elsewhere.
Yeah.
Have we seen too much of him already?
Because it does.
Maybe.
There's, it just depends. I think it depends.
Yeah, because I think that argument can absolutely be made. I think, but I will.
And
the moment that's popping, I made it. The moment that's popping into my head right now is actually, I think perhaps, my two favorite parts of the Obi-Wan series, which was Vader walking through that town and just choking and dragging people all over the place, and then the fight sequence with him and Obi-Wan with the rocks. Like, I mean,
splitting his
so
mask
for me, I'm like,
and all that.
So for me, if the decision had been made, like we just can't see him that much anymore, we wouldn't have that
potentially.
It's true. It's true.
And that would be sad.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be bummed about it because it was great. I was looking at all the other episodes.
Yeah. Dino, what were some of your? I mean,
your
you liked
favorites.
the clone conspiracy, which was what I was just referencing.
Yes. That was episode 7 for you peeps that are
following along.
Taking notes. If you're taking notes right now.
Yes, which you should be.
Obviously.
I know Vern.
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, Vern!
Vern. Thanks, Vern.
And then the finale, Plan 99. Maybe I'm suffering from recency bias, but... It provided the emotional weight that I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm always surprised when an animated show does that to me.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure I connect emotionally necessarily with animation. I really enjoy it, but
you can't tell me that you've never cried at a Pixar film. You can't tell me now. You can't look me straight in the eyes that you watched Up and didn't cry your damn eyes out when that house landed at the end.
No, I can't
top
say
of the
that.
Waterfall.
I'll put Pixar in its own
that's a different
category.
That's a different form of emotional manipulation.
Maybe I'll say cartoon.
Legitimately inconsolable.
Yeah. Well, Toy Story 3. I mean,
they know. Yeah, they know how to do it.
Yeah. They are emotional terrorists.
Correct. Yes.
they're preying on our worst and deepest fears of inadequacy
though.
and growing up.
Yes. We've had collective trauma, Pixar trauma.
But really the Siege of Mandalore arc and Clone Wars, and then really the finale of season 2 of Bad Batch. I was like, and really the finale of Rebels. I have to say,
Yes.
Star Wars lands their animated finales really,
They really do.
really, really well.
I'm actually curious to find out what you guys think too. And do you think that like their first season, really a lot of their first seasons is like they're assumedly they don't really know how long the series is going to be at that point. And then after the first season is over, maybe the second season even, like the big wigs up top, they're like, okay, we give you, you're going to get 4 seasons. So make it good. So then it becomes a little more focused and it starts to like come back in. Do you think?
Yeah,
that's
I mean that's any television show,
right.
Yeah.
So that's
they're but I mean I think for Bad Batch that they knew that 2 seasons were happening. Am
wait,
I
is it only
remembering
going
that?
to be? Is it literally over? It can't be over now.
No,
No.
well,
I'm just saying I knew that at the very start of it all,
That it was
they
gonna
knew
at
that
least be
they
2
seasons.
had
Yes,
2 seasons.
that's right. For
Right?
sure.
Is that correct?
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they knew at the bare minimum
There was going to be.
they were
2.
going to have a 2-season arc.
For sure. So I think that they weren't maybe at the least they weren't sure how far wide they wanted to go, and maybe I'm curious now if they have a more definitive. And I mean, they haven't announced that as far as I understand, but like,
Well, and with Star Wars Celebration next weekend, I have to imagine we'll get plenty of details on season 3.
oh yeah, oh my God!
y-
Speaking of my good friend Frank, if he's listening right now, he's gonna be there. He's gonna be selling his
Aw.
art. Very, very, very
Cool.
amazing. I just wanted to shout him out
Amazing.
because he's an amazing artist. You keep talking. I'm gonna get his Instagram so you guys
Cool.
can check him out. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
Star Wars Celebration London. I imagine they will be giving formal announcements on season 3 of Bad Batch.
Mhm.
You have to
Oh, here it
wonder.
is. It's let
Yep.
me be the letter B dot Frank. And yeah, he was chosen like out of like all the artists in the
How
freaking
cool.
world to like
That's really, really
be
cool.
featured. It's very, very cool. Anyway,
Wow.
That's going to be really
Awesome.
cool. You do have to wonder if I mean they've already greenlit what 2 16-episode seasons are.
yeah.
Is there 16 more episodes worth of furthering this plot along, or maybe they ended on 3 and make it slightly shorter?
I think I could absolutely see them go, because I mean, this new sister plot line
Yeah.
thing, like I don't know how that's even related to to Palpatine's return, if it is. So yeah, they got a lot of splaining to do, and I'm curious what other plot lines they also could because I'm curious what their end goal is for Bad Batch, if it's like to
Maybe tie up the clones in one.
Yes,
That's kind of what we always thought it would be.
feels
It's like
it. Yeah.
this is the story of the eradication of the clones and the
the
reason
story
you
of the
don't see
girl.
them in A New Hope.
Do you
Yeah.
think that how? Yeah, because I mean, they're very clearly getting older. Like from season 1 to season 2,
Mhm.
they're like, oh yeah, I'm just talking a little slower, and their like faces are a little more gaunt. Like,
Well,
I
and
mean,
yeah,
just the fact alone that Hunter was willing and is willing right now to just go and be on Pabu,
yeah,
like to
we all
retire
knew
and
that wasn't gonna last.
and have like family there, like
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, Omega is noticeably older this season. Thank
True.
God.
thank God.
Yeah, so
Thank God. She
thank
was
God.
like young Ahsoka in so
Oh,
It was hard. It was
So
hard.
Oh,
Just kind of a gnat. Just
yeah,
just
it's just
go-
like
just-
stop that. Just stop it.
no.
But yeah, well, and take into account their accelerated growth.
Mhm.
I always have to remind myself of that. These are, I think, with enough distance, you almost forget these are Jango Fett clones,
Right.
And,
Mhm.
Remind
and
me again.
they were
though,
accelerated.
Is she Was she accelerated, or did we discover?
I think she was unaltered.
Unaltered.
I think she was like Boba in that
Yeah.
sense. So she's an unaltered clone.
Clone of Boba.
Of
Django.
Django.
She's from the
She's just-
Django.
just
Right.
a female Django.
The female Django. Right. And now there's more female Djangos.
Right.
Female
But
Django
accelerated.
sounds like
right,
a,
either accelerated or like
what's
just
going
started before her, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, what is that about?
Yeah, and her sister is called Emery Carr.
Emery Carr. Oh, you know what I also saw too, between the time I watched it and now, that some theories that, well, and I think Dino said this too, and I think it's a brilliant kind of way of looking at this season of Bad Batch. It felt like it was sort of like bonus material for the new season of Mandalorian.
Mando. Mm-hmm.
Because
companion piece.
Totally, like the two of them side by side. You can see them sort of threading the needles for sure. I almost said needling the threads.
Which you have said before.
Yes, which I have said before. So the theory was that oh gosh, and again with the names, Spooky
Hemlock?
Girl. What's it? What?
No, sorry,
girl?
Spooky
The
Girl.
girl?
Yeah,
The clone?
Spooky Empire girl that's now like torturing.
Emery Carr.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Emery.
Omega's sister?
No. In Mandalorian.
Elia Kane.
Yes.
Elia.
She's a liar. She's
Yeah.
a liar.
She's a liar.
A
Yeah,
liar
right.
Kane.
Yeah, a little liar. That people are sort of thinking that she might be connected to that. I know that's kind of like a little bit of a real far out throw, but like that she might be one of the sisters, like a live action.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I don't
guess.
think so, but now that I think, I mean, she's dark featured.
I know
and-
that's the kind of the thing is like.
I mean, that's like
Omega is
everybody.
blonde, but this new character.
The sister has dark features.
darker.
right? So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of why people are like, wait a minute.
Is Elia Kane a Jango Fett clone?
Yeah. I mean,
Is
wow.
Mephisto involved?
Definitely Mephisto.
Oh my God, Mephisto! We haven't said Mephisto in a long time. Everybody drink.
Yeah, we. I mean I feel like that would be a big reach, but maybe.
I know. It's a little crazy. I just if they were intended to sort of, because they are like, they were
Their
released.
storylines are and
and-
everything is kind of running congruently. So
Yeah,
I guess.
there feels to be some fairly obvious connections. So if there is
Yeah.
some less obvious connections, that would definitely be one of them. Definitely, I don't know. That's a really hard word to say, but
And
Definitely.
maybe it's
You heard it here. It's absolutely true.
it is
that
1000%
Elia Kane
right.
is a
Elia
is
Kane
a
is-
clone of Jango.
That's right.
And the sister of. Well, look. We went out on a limb and said Book of Boba Fett. Well, I don't know if we said that, but we talked about how people had theorized that an adult Omega would show up in Boba Fett.
Oh, we did say that. Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett.
It would have been neat.
Well, Elia Kane and Emery Carr kind of sound the same. So, and they're the same
Right.
syllables. So that's
And-
definitely
Oh.
true.
You remember when people
Oh.
thought when Felicity Jones was cast as Jyn Erso that she was Rey's mother? It's like people can't look the same,
That's right.
or that maybe Amelia Clark was.
Ugh.
That
Being
there's
reminded-
a girl. There is a British girl. So,
That's
There
it.
it is.
A British
accent, forget
brunette
about
girl.
oh my God.
It all makes sense.
It
Yeah,
all does.
tied it all
ties
together.
it all
Wow.
together.
Wow.
Nobody can be their own thing. It's not possible.
Now, but this might be difficult to do, but
You have to try.
you have to try. Assuming this is all just the lead up to Palpatine's cloning in Rise of Skywalker, do we think there are any steps along, like could while that is ultimately the end game of the Empire, could there be other what else could they be wanting to do with this technology?
Right. That was my thought. Yeah.
Well, right. You had asked about like maybe after the sequel trilogy, but I don't think the Empire. My guess is the Empire wouldn't be involved with post-sequel trilogy stuff. I mean, like, what other threats could they
what
present
other- yeah,
in the
what-
meantime while we...
Yeah, like sort of it's meaning like a threat that comes and then goes like before the movies ever come about.
Because it just strikes me that...
I can see that happening.
It's still a relatively small group of people who are involved with this as far as like imperial bureaucracy, but like most people wouldn't know. And I think Palpatine would want it that way. Like, this isn't a empire-wide initiative. This is like a couple of very select people. Like,
well, if we think about it, like, it took what 60 years? Is that right? To get to what's his face
from Phantom Menace to Rise of Skywalker.
No. Sorry. The sequel trilogy. What's it? Snoke. It took us like 60 years to get us like a Snoke. And he, even though he's like super powerful, is still like clearly like, you know, flawed. So I'm imagining if they like had some even like earlier, you know,
earlier attempts at Snoke. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we might have like a not as powerful Snoke maybe pop up, like not maybe
just like a snail Snoke.
yeah.
Like a teeny tiny Snoke in a shell.
It just like can't really. It says like 3 or 4 words, and it's like.
It's got like the snail eyes.
But everything else is the same.
Everything else is exactly the same.
Sure, a snail crawled into the cloning vat. We don't.
Yeah, I'm just. I definitely could see at least maybe like a failed. Maybe I don't know if it failed, but they're just like, hey, let's you're like, oh, it's not ready yet. No, like let's try it anyways, that kind of thing. And
I mean, the Mandalorian kind of hinted at it, but we've seen cloning vats. And
right, they've clearly
bodies
been trying
floating in there
for a long time.
I suppose I'm just curious on like how many people in the Empire are aware of this, and are they even aware what they're actually being asked to do? Like, you know, are they fully?
Well,
I think Hemlock. I get the idea Hemlock is, but
somehow like they were that's going to be the hard. Well, I don't think that's the hard thread to needle, but I think that they
so many threads today.
So many threads. That Dave Filoni has so many threads. He's a knitting man. But oh no, God,
sorry,
talk about knitting.
I should have known not to say.
You should have known.
I should have known not to say a thing.
No, it's gone.
No, we were.
My brain.
We were talking about how many people are aware of.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of imagining like a really like. I mean, if we're talking about space Nazis here, like just really, really scary stuff, like you know, people from the Senate finding out and then them getting like murdered in cold blood to like keep the secret and stuff like that. That would be a really cool...
right to preserve the somehow Palpatine returns,
right? Or even like people in the Empire for that matter, like they're killing their own people.
Yeah,
that's very Nazi-like too. That would be a very spooky storyline to follow. I'd be into it.
And and I suppose a larger question, it may be too early to ask that, but does Bad Batch end happily?
Yeah,
when it does
question.
Inevitably end.
Well, because where do we find like Rex, for instance? You know, he's like kind of like marooned in the middle of the desert when we find him in Rebels.
Yeah, with Wolf and
yeah, just kind of like living in like seemingly like living in hiding and just kind of like. You know, I mean, it seems like he's got a good enough life, but like I like maybe he doesn't seem like he retired, but yeah, I am curious how it ends for them
because like we know where
it doesn't end in comfortable retirement.
Well, no, and we
know that the clones are gone,
right?
So. Yeah,
and whatever they want to use Omega for, and really whatever they want to. Maybe we can theorize because at the time of Mandalorian, the Empire still has as of yet achieved what they were out to achieve. Maybe it ends okay for Omega, and they don't
Yeah.
get what they want out of her. I think that might be safe to assume. But then what? Where are these people when?
Yeah. Also, I want to say that I always hated Sid, and I had a reason to.
Right.
Because she
She's
gave
a
them up.
big douche. I love how sad she looked when she was doing
Yeah.
it.
She was like,
"Oh."
I'm sorry, but you brought heat into my business, so I'm sorry
Immediate
that
regret. I just
had
wanted to cut to
call him."
her like sitting on the beach like dun 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 dun
On Pablo.
dun, 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 like with her money like yeah, all right, bring me another drink, baby.
That would be
Yeah.
a Ray Perlman thing to do.
Very,
It
very
really
much.
would.
Yes.
It would. She would be in
Um,
like a Hawaiian little dress with a
Can I get another
coconut
drink, honey?
a coconut drink. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm hoping that means, as much as I love Rita Perlman, and I really, really do, I'm just hoping that that's the end of our Sid times. Just because I just don't
Well.
like the I don't like the character.
It was
Yeah.
never a fair arrangement.
No,
Yeah.
and they even commented on that. I think in this,
They did.
whether it was the first part of the finale or the second part,
Yeah.
where they were like,
Well, it was even
yeah, I mean,
earlier
it's
than
not
that
as
when they were
because Hunter had a comment. They got like a transmission from her.
Yes. Oh yeah, and they shut it off. They're like, yeah,
And
we're good.
yeah, he was like, I mean, it's not very mutually
Beneficial.
beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. So yes, I would probably be fine if that were the case. My guess would be that they'll bring her back and some kind of a redemption arc, where she's like, which kind of sounds potentially like eye roll, but I just seeing her like, sad eyes. Like I just like I don't think that they would show that if they didn't. If the writers weren't like assuming that she was gonna like, make some kind of a sorry to her and
maybe as long as it's a short sorry tour. I'm fine with it.
yeah. That would be
Yeah.
fine. That would be fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
fine.
just you know what I mean? Like if it's as easy as the end of frickin' New Hope, where like we're all like really upset with Han Solo, and then he comes in for like 2 seconds. He's like, all right, now let's knock him dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
fine. That's fine.
That's fine. Maybe that's where we're going.
And because it happened, we hadn't really talked about any of this. The introduction of the facility, they do end up, we see it earlier in the season, but where they do take Omega to Mount Tantus,
Right.
Mhm.
has a long history in Star Wars Expanded
Oh,
Universe.
really? Tell me about it.
Mm.
Tied to Thrawn.
Oh, okay.
And this was a facility where, if I'm remembering correctly, in Legends, Mount Tantus was a secret warehouse for Palpatine where he hid all sorts of dark side artifacts and whatever.
Dark-sided.
Thrawn
Gargoyles.
Thrawn takes after the events of the original trilogy, and this is the old continuity. Thrawn takes over the facility and starts engaging in cloning technology. And
Interesting. Maybe that's where this is. Maybe that's where this is, because like he's assumedly maybe not there yet. Maybe that's where maybe we might see that. Because I mean, if this is sort of like like we're saying, like a companion series to Mando, and maybe now Ahsoka potentially, that would be cool if we could see that transition somehow.
I'd be interested to see. I'd have to go back. I haven't.
What is Thrawn's position in the Empire at this point?
So that's exactly where I was going. So
Yeah.
I'm.
Timeline wise,
He was
I don't
discovered
know.
around the time of the Clone Wars.
He was what?
Right. He was discovered. He and the Empire ran into each other.
I'm like, who
not-
are you?
long
Well, you're
after
pretty
the-
cool. You want to join
the
our
Clone
band?
Wars.
Ooh, you're a bad guy too. Come
Yeah.
on over.
Do you play the bass?
But I hadn't read two of the three new Thrawn books by Timothy Zahn, but my guess was he really rose the ranks of the Imperial Navy like right before Rebels. So
Oh wow. Okay.
we're still pretty
So
early
he's just
on.
like a little cadet at this point.
We are right after the Clone Wars right now, so Thrawn wouldn't be in charge of anything at this point. But
Yeah,
I wonder.
that's something I didn't know. I thought I
I
wasn't
do
sure.
wonder if in Bad Batch season 3, depending on the time jump, or
Yeah.
if we discover that Thrawn has become, perhaps a leader in this facility, or maybe he's put under his jurisdiction, or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then that. If I would say if that were to happen, and assuming we get Bad Batch season 3 sooner than later, if there are hints that that is the case, I think that is a very good indicator for where Mandalorian then picks up the thread, the Thrawn, if you will.
and / Ahsoka.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the inclusion, when they showed Mount Tantus for the first time, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I
And then the
didn't know
cloning of
anything about
the cloning of the Zelo Beast, and which we hadn't seen since Clone Wars. That tiny little Zelo Beast. I mean, sinister.
Sinisters. They like with all of the well, I don't know about all, but at least a lot of the recent Disney Plus shows, it feels like they are definitely like this. The cloning thing is ever present in all of them. Like even in Obi-Wan too. I think because we barely touched on it, but that episode where they went to the underwater layer, and Obi-Wan is like going through those like amber, like the amber prison basically, where all those like old Jedi are like frozen in amber.
Yes.
And we were never really explained like why they're there and what the hell. But I mean, I think that it's pretty clear. I don't know. At least now, just like if we're again threading the needle, that it has something to do about preserving midichlorians and cloning and all that stuff.
Yep.
Sorry, we're not saying midichlorians anymore. It's M count. My bad. Sorry
Yeah,
if I
that's
triggered
the-
anybody out there.
Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, Vern.
This podcast is only for Vern now.
Yes, correct. Because we're he's the only one that we know that's watching. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joshing. I don't know. Are there any Joshes out there listening?
Any Joshes?
No?
All right.
Okay. Nobody answered. I can't hear anyone.
I can't hear a thing.
This podcast isn't working. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, my thought about potentially them, I mean, I don't know how they'll do it. I'm sure it'll be done well, because introducing Thrawn is going to be a big deal for not just the Bad Batch. It's going to be a big deal for Mandalorian and Ahsoka series and
For
blah, blah,
sure.
blah. But I'm feeling like potentially what might happen is maybe even in season 3 of Bad Batch, we get like, Thrawn has been hired and is working under Dr. Hemlock in some capacity. And then stuff goes awry there and Thrawn ends up taking over the facility.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. I read the first new Thrawn book. I don't remember which year that came out, and I'm trying to remember where in the timeline.
Is any of that canon, or is that all?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean the new, these are the new canon that
The new
Timothy
ones.
Zahn.
Oh, cool.
They commissioned Timothy Zahn to basically rework Thrawn into. I'm trying to remember
Try to remember the
how long before
kind
Rebels it was.
December. That was a deep cut, by the way.
Because the book deals with the Empire stumbling upon him, and
What? How?
I don't remember.
Do you remember like what? what was the circumstance where they stumbled upon each other? Like, was he just kind of like, was he in charge of his own like band of folk at that time?
He was exiled by the Chiss.
Oh,
his race
That's
of
right. I remember saying that.
And he was marooned on a planet. And
he's a little too evil for them.
He doesn't speak Galactic Basic, so they kind of stumble upon him, and he ends up killing some stormtroopers. And
hey, this guy's all
really
right.
Interesting. And then he quickly manipulates his way up the ladder. I'd just be curious where he is at this point.
Once he learns the language, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Then no stopping him.
No stopping him.
Yeah, no stopping him at that point.
Give me some Rosetta Stone, and I am unstoppable.
I want to see those episodes.
Right.
The Thrawn.
The Thrawn Rosetta Stone.
Just Thrawn on the toilet doing his daily Duolingo.
I do want to see that. I want to see it badly.
Yeah, I will say I went into this Bad Batch season not with my arms crossed or anything, but I was just kind of like, yeah, I'll watch it because it's a new Star Wars, but I don't plan on enjoying it.
Well, and I think that like from our first like episode covering the season, I think you could probably tell that we came into it with like, you know, a little less respect than maybe it deserved. I mean, it was a very fun episode. I enjoy it. I don't regret anything.
I regret nothing.
That being said, yes, I completely agree. This season very much surprised, I think, all of us.
Yeah.
I have to give a specific shout out to
Shelly.
Well, fine. Yeah, hello, Shell.
We love you, Shelly.
A specific shout out to Kevin Kiner, who does the music for.
Oh my God!
For Bad Batch.
It was great.
That. It was really good.
The music, particularly in the last two episodes, was
a freaking movie.
Thrilling.
That was movie quality.
Yeah.
Music.
It was much like Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Where I'll have to go back and check, but I do think they got a full studio orchestra together too.
It felt like it. Yeah.
To do that because it sounded big and Star Warsy and
yeah. If they didn't, like, I would be like even more amazed at what he was able to do because it did sound so full and yeah, like the death of quote unquote death of Tech.
Yeah.
Felt like so emotional, like because you could tell like something bad was about to happen. Like,
and maybe that's what it was. Maybe I'm just susceptible, much like I am with John Williams. Maybe I'm just susceptible to.
Oh, we all are.
The pull of great music. But,
yeah.
But
it's so important.
How it elevated the end of Bad Batch was.
If you watch E.T. for
really
your
amazing.
first time without music, you're like, this movie is fucking stupid.
I don't.
Garbage. Jaws.
Nothing. This is nothing at all.
Yeah. Truly. The music is literally everything. I can't even imagine.
I mean, large chunks of Star Wars. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, I guess you're probably.
But that doesn't
wrong.
mean the movie's bad. It just it means
it changes everything.
It's the emotions.
Yeah. I just finished a rewatch of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and
oh my God!
I'm rewatching The Legend of Korra, but it was really interesing to me, and I know that Filoni. Yeah, speaking of emotional animated series,
oh my God!
Filoni didn't write the episode where Tech dies we lose Tech
when we lose him, right? Mm-hmm.
When we lose Tech on the cable cars, but there's an episode in Avatar that's very, very similar with like they're like these two cable cars on this track and they're like they're bending at one another. And
this
I
is in
just
Korra,
watched
right?
that. No, that's Avatar.
Oh wow, it's been such a long time now.
Yeah, it's with Zuko's sister and her like girl gang or
the
anyways.
girl gang.
But because I just watched that, I was like,
this is when they're in the Earthbender
like
city?
Really, really similar. It's the last season.
Oh, damn.
So,
I completely don't remember.
It's okay. There's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot. But if you haven't seen it, like truly, it is like one of those very extremely worthwhile Like,
Yeah, and to the haters that say that Korra is not as good as the original series, you're wrong.
but also,
So-
like, the first season set an unreasonably high precedent. It's such a good
It did, but like,
series.
yeah. Anyways, this is not. We could talk about that for hours.
Yes, we could.
Yeah, it just was fascinating to me because I have been noticing, in particular
Similarities.
in Korra, because I know Filoni consulted on that.
I forgot about that.
series, but he didn't work on Legend of Korra. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in Legend of Korra, which I just can see. I can see these little moments where I'm like, that's totally a Dave Filoni thing, being like, okay, we didn't really answer that question in Avatar, so like, let's actually answer like how the spirit world works in
Totally.
Korra, like things like that, where I'm just like, ah, man, you're just. And that's total speculation on my end, but I'm just like,
I
it
think
just
that's
feels
very
like that.
reasonable.
It feels like what the Star Wars animated stuff has done so well, which is like
filling some blanks.
continuing to world build and fill in those blanks and make it make sense.
Yeah, please make it make sense.
And yeah, so I really do appreciate this season of this season of Bad Batch in particular, because I think that it especially these last like 4 episodes
Yeah,
are doing some really really cool stuff.
really neat things.
Yeah.
Touching back on to the tech loss. Another clue to me that like that he's not gone is the evil doctor guy,
Dr. Hemlock.
Dr. Hemlock. His like, super evil method of like throwing the broken goggles to them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is all we could find. I'm like, yeah, right. It was the only thing you could find, you piece of shit. Like so that feels very like, because it's, that's coming from such an untrustworthy narrator. Like, it just begs us to think that he's still around. That being said, if Tech's body was taken by the Empire or by Hemlock's people, because like they're part of the Empire, but they're almost kind of like a super far right wing sect of the Empire that's doing some real spooky stuff.
First Ordery.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it kind of scares me to think what they're doing with him.
What if the only part that like, what if Tech's body is like so broken, but his brain is fine, so they put him in like a robot?
Oh my God, they're gonna make him into a MODOK.
They use him as a supercomputer.
Not an ugly MODOK, but like a piece of like advanced tech.
I mean, that would
his
be
brain.
I mean, that would be cool. That'd be neat. It would be sad and like
It'd
really
be
spooky,
sick.
but that would be a cool thing.
Yeah.
I would be so emotional and sad, probably.
I do. It's the wrong thing to say. But I do hope he's dead.
Either that or like severely changed where he's like can't ever be the same.
Like
he only barks like a dog now.
Everything else is exactly the same.
He only says his name like a Pokemon, like Tech.
Like Hodor.
Yes.
He's so annoying.
Oh my God! Speaking of trauma, my God, the Hodor episode.
Okay, we don't.
Oh my God, I will never forget. Hashtag never forget.
Hashtag never forget.
That was so fucking sad.
Well,
we're just gonna think about Hodor for a second. Just give us a sec.
You just name some other sad things.
Oh my God, Bambi's mom, so sad.
That's how my mom got me to not run away from her at like grocery stores and
We get gunned down in a forest.
She would say, if I left her side, the hunters were gonna kill her.
Oh my God! Wow.
So
Wow.
literally,
Sick.
it's so sick. I would like start to
my
run away, and
God.
she would be like, "The hunters," and I would just like cling back.
The
on.
next time I see Linda Love,
God.
I am going to give her a piece of
That
my
is
mind.
sick.
That is
So it's so emotionally manipulative.
Oh my God. I mean, I thought I had it bad with my grandma telling me my broccoli had feelings, but that is very intense.
Which doesn't even make sense because why then would you eat
but
it?
Why would you eat it?
So that was
Hurts
the
its
thing.
feelings if it doesn't get eaten.
Correct. It's like
Oh my
its
gosh.
whole existence was to get on this plate, and now it's just gonna go straight into the trash. And so he's like, she would literally like take the plate with her and be like, "I'm so sorry. Oh, he doesn't want to eat you." And then she'll take it to the trash, and I'm like, "No, no, please don't eat it. I'm sorry."
Well, part of the reason, like, I feel like before us and our generation didn't like broccoli and Brussels sprouts is because they were prepared in a horrible way.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up. This came up on TikTok.
Because if you
and it blew my mind.
listen to me, if you toss something in olive oil, season it, and roast it in the oven, it's delicious.
4,000%. Yes.
Okay,
But
mushy boiled broccoli
It's
is
disgusting.
gross.
You're absolutely correct about that. But, and also, yes, and Brussels sprouts apparently are not the same Brussels sprouts as they were when we were kids.
What did they do to change them?
This is insane. No.
Now, this sounds like a crazy Reddit theory.
No. Hear me out and Google this on your own. But
I won't. Okay.
What did they do? What did they do to change them?
there is part of it that made it taste like super bitter, and then like they basically like genetically altered them so that they took the bitter taste out. So they're not the same. They don't taste the same anymore.
All right. Well, they taste good now.
They taste good now. They do.
Fine
They
now.
do. I love Brussels sprouts. I didn't before. I
like them if they're dredged in olive oil, salt and pepper with a balsamic
butter.
glaze
It's-
on top.
It's best with lots of butter.
To where they no longer resemble the food they were before.
Yeah, they're like crispy, fried, sugary things.
Yes.
Now
yes.
I like them.
Now I like it. Hold
Yeah.
on a second. I'm gonna go look up this thing, Brussels sprouts. So, you know.
That's insane. But
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that because I thought that blew my mind. I was like, what?
All right.
Oh, genetically modified. It was literally the first thing that
all
came
right,
up.
back to Star Wars.
Speaking of genetically modified,
How Dutch plant
Clones.
breeders built our Brussels sprouts.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. It's all this
somehow the
conspiracy.
Brussels sprouts have returned.
Here's why Brussels sprouts really do taste less bitter. Years of good old-fashioned plant breeding have helped make this unfairly disliked veggie tastier.
All right, I believe it. Sure.
Thank you. But how crazy is that?
If they can make a grape taste like cotton candy,
I know.
what can't they do?
Without altering the sugar content,
Yeah.
I know.
which stunned me. I didn't believe it until I last bought them.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Same. I didn't even know they existed. Biddy introduced me to it, and I was like, wow.
Well, we have Star Wars Celebration next weekend.
Yes, that's
And I
something to
imagine-
look forward to.
I imagine the three of us will convene to fill you all in
Mm-hmm.
on what goes down there. But
Most definitely.
as far as Bad Batch goes in particular, I think we will get clarity about
Where they're going.
where they're going, what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We also got
Well-
2 episodes of Mandalorian to talk about next week.
we do.
It's going to be busy.
And next week's Mandalorian, I suspect we're finally getting to the goods, as they
Well,
call it.
it's 3 episodes left, or just 2?
3, I think.
Three.
3-ish. So yeah, it's the end game, as it were. This last episode, I mean, we don't have to talk about it now because we're going to talk about it later.
Yep.
But it was cool.
We can't talk about it now.
It was neat.
I won't.
It was really neat.
Can't make me. Well, any other Bad Batch, Bad Bitch thoughts before we say goodbye?
I'd just like to say congratulations to the crew. You did a good job. Thank you for entertaining us, and I can't wait for season 3.
I would say, going into a season 3, a likely season 3, shorten it.
You could. You still could.
we don't
I
need
think
16.
that was our season 1 note, and like season 2, I think we did see improvements for sure in the way of the focus, but
A max 10.
We can do really good stuff in 8 to 10 episodes. I really think.
You can do really good stuff in 4.
Yeah. I mean, look at the last 4 of this season.
Like
Or if Clone Wars, like make it a movie.
Like the pod racing episode was cute, but it definitely didn't need to be there.
The Jedi Kashyyyk, the Jedi Wookiee episode we didn't need it.
Yeah.
Sorry. But
who knows? Maybe it'll make a lot more sense later on. I think that they did that. I'm sorry, I know we're trying to wrap this up, but
you always ruin it.
I always ruin it. every time because I ruined it for myself because I brought it up. But that episode, they literally made that episode so later on we could see like his amazing driving skills. Like they were just setting up that one.
Sure.
But they didn't need to do that in an entire episode. I guess is my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Well, that was The Bad Batch season 2.
It was.
If you didn't watch it and you just listened to this, that's
Wow.
confusing.
That is very confusing.
At least one of my parents.
right.
I'll be
Hi,
like,
Mom, or Dad.
I'm
The
not.
whole thing, this whole hour, they're gonna listen to you.
I don't know. Probably, and then
My God.
then
That's
I'll
so sweet. My parents
be
don't
talking
listen
to
to
them.
shit.
I'll be talking to them on the phone. They'll be like, I don't know what's going on, but I just like hearing you talk.
My parents don't love me.
I mean, I
On
don't
that
love
note,
you either, to be fair.
eat your Brussels sprouts. They're not
You're
bitter
genetically modified.
anymore.
Yes, let us know in the comments if you like Brussels sprouts
If you like the new clone sprouts,
and if your parents
then-
hate you or love you, let us know.
We would love to get into that with you.
yes. But also
that's really why we're here.
But also let us know what you thought about The Bad Batch. We want to know. Let's
Yeah.
discuss it in the
Beach.
comments together.
All right, peeps, we'll be back next week to talk Mandalorian and Star Wars Celebration.
Don't forget to
Hope-
like and subscribe.
Yeah, and take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. You peeps. Okay, this is Inside the Tauntaun, podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the force be with you.
Always.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast. Please like and subscribe.